Привет всем. I'm Michael. Nice to meet you. I will be your Sherpa, I guess you can say, through the Russian language, at least for now, over on the Linguitarian community. So, as you can see, today we are going to be going over the Azbuka, произношение, so alphabet slash pronunciation, and кусочек грамматики, so a little вкус, taste of grammar here, bite of grammar. So yeah, русский язык, Russian language, первая часть, first part. Hopefully with more parts to come. So I wanted to start off with this video here, which I feel encapsulates what it is like to be a Russian learner. So let's go ahead and play that here.
Да, лучше, чем русский.
Как будет по-английски морковь?
Carrot.
Carrot.
Тетерев.
Nailed it.
Тетерев это что?
Птица такая тетерев.
Я не знаю, как она выглядит.
Знаете английский точно?
Да. I can speak English very good if you want me to know.
Это все спецэффекты. А колесица как будет по-английски?
Колесица.
Колесица. Хорошо. Искон.
You can also say чушь. I know what you're thinking, and no, do not say that. But yeah, if I catch any of you using mut out there, I will. It's on site.
Давича. Давича.
You're so flashy.
Сукно.
Bitch.
Okay. Yeah. So again, it's funny because sukno sounds like suka. Okay. Now we буквально when you're learning a language, whether it be Spanish, German, Japanese, Chinese, I don't know, Turkish, whatever, you start with the alphabet, right? Right. Now, it's crazy outside. Buran is storm. It's bis konyak in Kazakhstan right now. So we're in it. Almost. Just have to, a few more days, we get summer weather. Just please. You know, I moved here and didn't think it was true, but it is. You know, it's hot for like a few days and then bam, cold just sneaks up on you. But I heard that it's not that long, so hopefully this weekend will be good. Anyway, okay, so bukvy are letters. So alphabet, right? Ruski alphabet is alphabet, but you can also say azbuka, like the last line. I think azbuka is more of like the older version, I guess. So from left to right, just gonna go through them. A, B, V, G, D, Е, Ё, Ж, З, И, краткое, К, Л, М, Н, О, П, Р, С, Т, У, Ф, Х, С, Ч, Ш, Ш. Твердый знак, У, and мягкий знак. We'll have our own little section with those. E, U, Ya. So going through to see some of the tricky letters. So ge here can be g, right? Hard g. But it can also sound like v if it's between two vowels. Not when it's a foreign word like logo or yoga or yogurt. It retains that g sound. But if it's a word like его, then it's obviously v. Can also sound like k at the end of words, like in четверг, which means Thursday. Excuse me. And then ye and yo. So these aren't nothing too crazy here. Just sometimes people don't write the two dots above the yo. So you kind of just have to memorize where the, if it's a yo or a yeah. Usually, so it depends on the stress. So if it's a stressed yeah, then it's yo. Like in kapyo, it wouldn't be kapye. It's just because the stress on that word falls on the end. But usually, I don't want to give a percentage because I don't know the percentage. But I won't do that. But I would say you can bet on the stress being in the middle of the word. And then moving on, I kratkoja is at the end, but I've also seen it in the middle, like яйцо, which means egg. So it kind of puts a little spice on a vowel sound. So if it's attached with o, then it's oi. If it's attached with yeah, then it's ye. And then in like яйцо, it's yai. So yeah, it literally is just short e. And then, but okay, so if it's like a foreign word like yoga, yogurts, like I said, then it's at the front. But you can kind of tell that it's a foreign word by it being in the front. I don't know of any like Russian word that has this in the front. Okay, so or again, the stress thing. This can sound like ah, but when it's stressed, it's o. It's like хорошо or осторожно. So in each of those examples, the stress falls on different places. But yeah, so well in осторожно specifically, you get the full gambit of all sounds, right? A, sta, ro, ah. Yeah. So which means carefully. And хорошо we'll cover in the next slide, but it's like good. And then so this is rolled. A good way to practice rolling your R's would be putting like a D in front of it, like dur, like I don't know, другой. Just keep practicing другой, and or like dur. You can go different variations, but a good word if you want like a full word, it would be другой or друг. Maybe друг would be an easier one because you don't have to deal with the oi at the end. And друг, by the way, means friend, a male friend. Подруга is a female friend. But другой means other. So if it's like, this thing or the other thing, And then we have tvrdy znak, which is hard sign. So this basically keeps a consonant that comes before it hard, whereas it would be softened by the vowel that comes after. So for example, in the word objaснить, so b is there, right? So b, tvrdy znak, and then ya. So that ya won't soften the b. This is in the middle of words a long time ago in pre-revolutionary Russian, or maybe even before that. I don't know when they got rid of it, but the hard signs used to be on the end of just normal nouns, but they thought that was redundant, so they were like, nope, we're just going to have them in the middle. So yeah, and then I'll do ui last because it makes more sense to do myaky znak now. So myaky znak, soft sign, as you guessed it, makes the consonant before it soft. You find these all over the place, way more common than the hard sign. So these can be at the end of words. And so they're useful in knowing which form of the verb is infinitive or not, because at the end, not at the end of a lot of verbs at the end of a lot of infinitive form of verbs will be a soft sign. But you can find them in the middle and not at the beginning though. Thank goodness. I don't know if I could handle that. If I found a soft sign at the beginning, I don't even know how that would work, because it wouldn't because of the what they do. But anyway, and then so here, so on the left we have the print, and then on the right we have the cursive. Do you have to learn cursive? Yes. Because it's not hard, just learn it. Why not? There's only 33 letters, just practice. but most people don't only write in cursive. So if you just want to look at, typed documents, or I don't know, no one, you know what, I will say nobody writes in the print letters. So it's, I would say, mandatory to learn how to write in cursive. Okay, so glasnia are in red. They are the vowels. Now, and then the saglasnia are the consonants that are not in red. So what was I going to say? Oh, so these are adjectives that describe, I believe, zvuky, which means sounds, but maybe they describe bukwy. Either one of those. It could be, if I had like a singular, it would be easier, much easier, because I could be like, oh, if it's glasnaya, then it would go to bukva, but it's not like that. So actually, you know what? I will look that up right now. I will quit being lazy, and I will say, okay, vowel. I'll just say vowel. Glasny. Okay, so zvuk. All right, moving on. Bazovia slova и фразы. Да или нет? That is the question. Okay, so da obviously is yes, нет is no. Now, aga can be like something to say to prod along someone while they're speaking, like aga, aga, aga. Just while they're talking, just as a signal to them that you understand what they're saying, because conversations in Russian can be pretty intense. So it's good to have that, positive feedback, Okay, and next we have привет, здравствуйте, which can be shortened to здрасте, and then allo, which is, I think, really only used when you answer the phone. I can't remember a time where I heard it not when someone was answering the phone, but they all mean hello. Now, здравствуйте, that scary looking word, is a command. So we'll get into that much later. Maybe not much later, but not in this. So this form is the vui form. So vui, which we'll cover in a few slides, can be second person singular formal, or it can be second person plural. So like you see here, so vui, so capitalized vui is the formal second person, but if it's lowercase, then it's the plural. But obviously when you're speaking, you won't know that, so you really just have to know depending on context. But I would say when in doubt, use vui. Okay, so the здравствуйте is that plural formal, but you can also take off the tie here. So we're getting into commands a bit. So you can say здравствуй, stopping on the u, and that's just like a less formal way to say it. Less formal or singular way to say it. So next we have как дела. So it's literally how are the things, or how is business, I guess. So you could say here actually как у тебя дела. So when you say here, it's like how do you have things? Yeah. So, but I would just stick to either or, not get too fancy with it. But if you're just starting out, как дела works perfect. Or как вы is a bit easier. If you can't remember the дела here, the у тебя / вас is genitive, and then как is how. And then, so here we have the вы in nominative, but in вас is the genitive here. So тебя is the genitive of ты. Okay, so all of that is to say they all mean how are you / how are things, And how would you answer that question? You would say, well, I would also say как ты чувствуешь себя? is literally how do you feel? Well, literally it's how do you feel yourself, but which sounds bad in English, but in Russian perfectly normal. Or you could say, what else could you say? I had something that I cannot remember now. Oh, как твое настроение, which is a bit complicated. It just means how is your mood. So, but we'll get into kind of the твое, what that means here in a bit. Okay, so how would you answer any of those questions? Хорошо, good. Плохо, bad. Нормально, normal, okay. Отлично, great. Ужасно, terrible. But if you wanted to spice these up a bit, you could say очень хорошо, очень плохо, очень нормально, очень отлично, очень ужасно. Очень ужасно is, so очень means very. So, just emphasize, yeah. So these are all adverbs here. So they're adverbs because they end in o, but they're like adjectives. So nouns that end in o would be neuter, but we'll get into gender in a bit. But yeah. Next, we have spasiba, which is just, casual, thank you. But then if you want to be extra fancy, you can say благодарю вас. So, like I said, very fancy, but in casual conversation. So this благодарю, like I am thanking, literally. But you can say благодаря, do that little, make it a de причастие, which is very advanced grammar that I don't want to cover right now. You can just put that, it means like thanks to so-and-so, but in that kind of context. You wouldn't say like, I don't know, spasiba, spasiba. Yeah, it's just better to say like благодаря. Anyway, but and then vas is the voi in accusative here. Okay, next we have пока, до свидания, увидимся. So пока can be bye or it can be while. So it's like when you're saying I'm doing this while he is doing that. Very casual way to say bye. More formal would be до свидания, which is until the date. You can also say до встречи, until the meeting, or you can say увидимся, which we'll cover aspect in a bit, but that's but it is the first person plural perfective. So that means like, and then with the s here, that's where the each other comes in because that makes it reflexive. So увидим is just we'll see, right? But увидимся is we'll see each other. Yeah. So, and reflexive in Russian is возвратный. Aside there. Next we have как сказать blank по-русски or на русском. So here, very useful. If you don't know how to say something, you can be like, how to say headphones in Russian. Наушники. And then, or you can say на русском, which is prepositional here. So it's like on Russian. По-русски is the adverb form. So when you have a ski adjective like this, so if it's an adjective, it would have the краtka after it. So if you want to make those adjectives an adverb, you just take away the kratka and you have it like that. Not only, so ethnicities, languages are most common to have this, but a lot of other loan words as well. Also, like классический does this as well. And then you can also say как будет blank. You can say по-русски as well here, but yeah, either or, I would say. It's like how it will be in Russian. Next, меня зовут blank. So меня зовут Michael. So that's my name is, literally, they call me Michael. And then how would you say, what is your name? So как тебя зовут? If it's informal, как вас зовут, if it's formal or plural. To answer, you can also say я blank. So я Michael. You can also say like студент, я, I don't know, слесарь, я рабочий, я начальник, я blah, 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 blah. Whatever you want. It's just like, I am blank. And then we'll get it, so you could say я, and then we'll get into different pronouns you could insert as well in there. Next we have очень приятно. So приятно is another adverb here from the adjective приятный, which is pleasant. So it's literally very pleasant. So приятно познакомиться. So both mean nice to meet you, but познакомиться is to be acquainted with. So знакомые are acquaintances. Next, we have удачи. So comes from удача, which is luck. So when you want to put something on someone to make them have it, I guess you just put it in the genitive. But we'll cover genitive a bit later. Я готов. I'm ready. So why I put in parentheses here? Because it depends on the gender of the person saying it or who you're addressing. You could say like, ты готова? Are you ready? Or вы готовы? Are you all ready? I will say though, when you're talking about second вы in the second person formal, it's like you are saying second person plural. So you conjugate everything like that. So like, like that's why it's both здравствуйте for both, if that makes sense. But even, if it's just a regular conjugation, like говорите, вы говорите по-русски. You are speaking Russian. So that could either be, depending on context, you formal speak Russian or you all speak Russian. Okay. And then, so if this is like a short form adjective. So there are several that do this. So they come from verbs. So you can, I guess, take a verb, extract the essence from it, and then put like a short little signifier of which gender or number it applies to. So like, я впечатлен is I'm impressed. So, or я согласен, я должен. I believe those are the same. That's the same kind of type of grammar. So, я согласен is I agree. Я должен is I should. Anyway, so давай, пошли, поехали. So давай is literally like give as a command. But for whatever reason, it's like a let's go type thing. So this is the informal singular here. You can make it давайте if you wanted. And then we have here пошли and поехали. Now, hopefully we won't touch verbs of motion for a long while. However, this is a good little intro. So пошли is they went, but on foot. Поехали is they went by vehicle. Now, you can also say пойдем and поедем, respectfully. Why you can say something in the past but mean something in the future, I have no idea. It makes no sense to me. But you can. But again, these are very informal and they can be interpreted as a bit rude if you're not familiar with the person. So I would just say like пойдем or поедем or давайте. Okay, so next we have доброе утро. So it's доброе утро, but just quickly it's доброе утро. Добрый день, so good afternoon. Доброе утро is good morning. Добрый день can also be just, good day. Добрый вечер is good evening. And then спокойной ночи is good night. Now, this is in the genitive. So if you're putting on someone, like, have a good night, right? You say spokojnej nocy. It's genitive. You can also do this with the other forms, like dobrого вечера. You can say dobrого dня. I guess you can also say dobrого утра. But to be honest, I've never heard it. I mean, maybe this is just because I don't wake up early enough. But yeah, so it's like the удачи here. Okay, next we have пожалуйста, which can be please or you're welcome. Kind of a versatile little word there. Unfortunately, it's extremely difficult to spell, but what are you gonna do? Can't have it all, right? Добро пожаловать is welcome. So it's like nicely to, well, actually, so I've never thought about this, but why? Because жаловать is to complain. So did I just have like an epiphany in the middle of a lesson? That's not good. I don't know if that's good, but yeah, wow, I guess it just means both, I guess. Yeah, wow. Because I saw it, I'm like, I know it means welcome, but like, and I was like, wait a minute. Anyway, yeah, okay. So moving on. Wow, big little epiphany there. I would also include будь здоров as another like basic phrase. So when someone sneezes, you would say just будь здоров. So it's literally be healthy, or depending on the gender, будь здорова, будь здоровы. Another one of those short form adjectives there. Okay, so here we have будни, выходные. So будни are weekdays, выходные are days off or the weekend. So понедельник is Monday, вторник is Tuesday, среда is Wednesday, четверг is Thursday, пятница, Friday, суббота, Saturday, воскресенье, Sunday. So I have this v here because when you want to say v on a certain day, or when you want to say on a certain day, you put v, and then you put the day in the accusative, which we'll cover. Don't worry, we will get there. Not today, but we will at some point cover that. Okay, so that's why you have the u here, because that's just the rule for accusative, singular or feminine. So some fun things. We have второй. It's втор. It's like the second day, right? Actually, понедель. So this is like the start of the week. So if you add pa to something, it means to start doing something. So it's kind of like a little precursor to the week, I guess. And then, so втор, you see here. So второй is second. So it's like the second day. And then среда. So средство is, or средний, or like the middle. So it's the middle day. And then четверг. I don't know. I'm having like dyslexia. I'm like switching between lines of text. Okay, so четыре is 4. So this is like четвёр. So четвёртый is 4th. So it's like the 4th day. And then пять is 5. And then суббота. I'm trying to think of what суббота is. I don't actually know. But воскресенье, воскрес is risen. So it comes from Christianity. So it's the holy day. Yeah. So anyway, so праздники are holidays. If you want to say it in like the British sense, like a vacation, it would be каникулы. So going through the list here, Рождество is Christmas, Новый год, New Year, Pascha, Easter, День рождения is birthday. And then if you want to say like, oh, happy New Year or something, you say с Новым годом. You put Новый год in the instrumental case, which we will cover at a later point. But this is kind of implied. Like I'm congratulating with a new year, I guess, or with Christmas, or with the birthday. So с днем рождения. So here's a clip, a kadr of a classic scene from the cartoon Chебурашка, and we will watch it now. Everyone should know this if you're studying Russian, and the way you say cartoon is мультфильм, and song is песня. You've heard this before. I know you're about to sing.
Пусть бегут неуклюже пешеходы по лужам, а вода по асфальту рекой. И неясно прохожим в этот день непогожий, почему я веселый такой.
Play this in the club.
Ах, я играю на гармошке у прохожих на виду. К сожалению, день рождения
Makes me laugh every time.
только раз в году.
He's saying, unfortunately, it's your birthday, but it only comes once a year.
Вдруг волшебник в голубом вертолете и бесплатно покажет кино. С днем рождения поздравит и, наверно, оставит мне в подарок 500 эскимо. Ах, я играю на гармошке у прохожих на виду. К сожалению, день рождения только раз в году. К сожалению, день рождения только раз в году.
Amazing. Classic. So, yeah. So you saw that in real life there. So when he said Eskimo, I was like, for the longest time, I had no idea what that meant. And I was like, what Eskimo? What does that mean? But I learned that it's ice cream. So they had this, it's actually the recipe's from the US. So I forgot who went over to the US, but they came back with this ice cream recipe, and then they just sold it everywhere. So, and they called it Eskimo. This is the story. Okay, so here we have eek, not to be confused with the prison. Okay, so we have not to be confused with the prison. What's the word I'm looking for? Whatever, doesn't matter. But you know what I'm trying to say. It stands for Inhanatia Konstruktia, and I believe the prison would be like Institut Korrektivnaya or something. Anyway, so ik 1, первый ik 1, whatever. So this is just, I'm going to move this so you can read it. Just a regular, basic, run-of-the-mill sentence. Studenti vernulis. The students returned. Now, here's where it gets a little spicy. Yeah. So I will say, off the top, well, a little bit not off the top, almost off the top, that it's not really important to learn these. Like, they'll just come when you start speaking with people. You'll just catch on to their speech patterns. But when I went to Middlebury Russian summer school, we had pronunciation class every week, and I learned them there. So why not bring them to these lessons here? If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for our lessons here. Okay, so ik 2 is for questions with a question word. So it's like когда студенты вернулись. So you say with the stress there, когда студенты вернулись. When did the students return? And then this ik 3 is for questions without the question word. So without когда, как, сколько, какой, куда, whatever. So, студенты вернулись. The students returned. And then их 4 is like a little rebuttal question. Maybe not rebuttal, but like short answer. Yeah, short question answer, I guess. Or return, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. And it's written right there. So in parentheses here, I guess it's providing context to this answer, or not answer, question. So в среду я не могу прийти. So on Wednesday, I can't go. Or it's actually, I can't come. And then this other person was like, а не в среду? So it's like, and not on Wednesday? So I don't know why they felt the need to ask this, because obviously they just said on Wednesday they couldn't come. So, but maybe, so that's why I think this is providing context for this answer. But I think a better question would be like, понедельник я не могу прийти. And then they would be like, oh, but what about Wednesday, Кой буран, how do you call it? Без коньяк in Kazakhstan right now. So we're just going through it. Almost summer. When I moved here, I was like, you know what? There's no way. Everyone hyped it up. I was like, it's not coming. I didn't believe them. But here I am. It's freezing right now. And hopefully it won't last for very much longer. But yeah, it's not amazing. I kind of just want the cold to be done, because ever since I got here, it's been cold. So hopefully this weekend will be nice. Anyway, moving on. Ik 5. Сколько хорошего сделал. So this is for exclamatory sentences with the question word. So like сколько, or you could say как много хорошего сделал, or какой хороший день, or какая хорошая погода. So this is, so with pronoun words, which I'm assuming is the question word I spoke about. But yeah, interrogative. So again, if you want to put on someone like this, so this is saying how much good he did, or how much good was done. So, well, no, actually. So genitive is, no, this is just triggered by сколько. Okay, so yeah, forget. This is not like the last slide. Okay. А что мы сегодня узнали? So this is just plain old exclamatory without the question word here. Like well, actually, I don't know about that. Wait. So what does this mean? So expressions of bewilderment. So I guess this is just a surprise, I guess. But then why? So it would be like if you had doubt beforehand, but what would be the difference between implied doubt, I guess? Okay. Or maybe it's like, because there's что here. So that's whatever. I think, so let's just say implied doubt then. And then ik 7 is I believe, is the sarcastic ik. So, а что он имеет? It's like, oh, and what he knows how to do. Okay. Or, and that he knows how to do, whatever. Okay. And then, грамматические термины, grammar terms. Ура, 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 ура. Туса. Okay, going through the list here. Слово существительное, noun, прилагательное. I'm not going to read the English translation you get. Предлог, наречие, глагол, совершенный вид, or несовершенный вид. So perfective and imperfective aspect, which we will cover here in a bit. Прошедшее, настоящее, будущее, время. Now, these are all, you guessed it, participles. Ooh. And I hate them. They are so annoying. And We will cover them hopefully much, not hopefully, we will, because for your sake, because they are so annoying. And like, why can't, whatever, I won't start. There are only really a few times when you would use participles. Like if you want to be really fancy, you could use them in everyday speech, but it's kind of like, ooh, какой пафосный человек. Like a little pretentious, you know? But in literature, you'll find them all over the place. So they're still good to know, but like if you're just out and about, you know, on the streets of Astana, where I am, and you're like, oh, it's so outside of these like set phrases, I guess, set like everyday usage of these words, it'll be like, sound like a textbook. Trying to be fancy when you don't have to be, right? Just use который. But который will be soon. Not today, but soon. But anyway, so these are some of the select few times you will use participles. So прошедшее, so past is past, настоящее is real or the present, and then будущее is future. We'll go over будет here when we talk about vid, because it's pretty pertinent to that topic. But yeah, so these are all different. Well, this is a different kind of participle than these, but you know, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that now. Okay, ударение is stress in terms of a word, and not like, you know, anxiety or like stress. To say that, you would say stress, or you could say тревога, which would be more like anxiety. Okay, предложение is a sentence, not like a prison sentence, but a sentence with words. Причастие, participle, you, boo. Де причастие, gerund. It's not really a gerund. Yeah, okay. Well, it's the closest we have. Okay, chill. Точка, вопросительный знак, восклицательный знак. So period, question mark, exclamation mark, respectively. Oh yeah, I said I wouldn't read the English translation. Запятая, скобки, падеж, единственное, множественное число, активный, пассивный залог, спряжение, склонение, местоимение. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on падежи and vid. Okay, I thought it was close after. We have quite some more work to get done. You know, have a little stretch break. Pause the video now, get the blood flowing. You've been hard at work so far. So in Russian, there are 6 whole cases. And you might be thinking, well, what so difficult? Like, why does Russian have cases? Well, they actually make life a lot easier, kind of, depending on the way you look at it. So you can put a word anywhere in the sentence within reason and have it make sense because of the ending and which determines the case, which determines its usage in the sentence. And also, they're pretty formulaic. There's not a lot of if, that's, or buts about them. And also, in adjectives as well, like you'll look at an adjective ending in one of the cases and you'll be like, that's like this case. And it's like, yeah, good. Yes, making connections in your head. But that can be a bit confusing, but less to memorize. And also, for feminine, it's pretty, like, the most common ending is oi for adjectives, at least. So yeah, it's it's doable, right? You can do it. I believe in you. Yeah, but I mean, of course, starting off right off the bat, jumping in like this is it's kind of a lot. So, but we'll, shag za shagam, step by step. We'll do this. Okay. Like I said, there are 6 cases. However, Russian is an old language, which means that it went through different forms, like I said before, and every language is old. I don't even know why I said that. But from cases, earlier, Russian had more cases. Now they have fewer cases. But for some words, those older cases still appear. So, like, for example, you say, "О Боже." That would be the vocative case, which is like the summoning case, right? So you say, "Oh Боже," "Oh God," like when something, unexpected happens, right? Or you have the locative case, which is the case that some words, mostly single syllable, take on when you're talking about something being done in a place. So that's why it's lumped in with the prepositional, right? So let's go through. So именительный, your nominative is the subject, and these question words here, interrogatives, are kind of the indicator of what the case is, right? So to, что, and then they change throughout, each case, and then you can look at them and then decline the adjective according to, these patterns here. But they do end in o. That is correct. But they take on a masculine essence, I guess you could call it. So like that'll matter in the past tense and right now when we're talking about adjectives. So it doesn't really matter in the present or future because it doesn't really deal with gender. So, but yeah. Anyway, nominative именительный. Винительный is accusative. So, что, кого. So remember the g in between vowels sounds like v. And then родительный, genitive. And these all describe падеж, by the way. So these are all adjectival forms. Masculine singular adjectival forms, more specifically. Okay, so genitive чего, кого, and дательный, dative, чему, кому, предложный is the prepositional, чем, ком, творительный, instrumental, чем, кем. Now, what does any of that mean? So this is the subject, nominative. Accusative is the direct object. Genitive, you say when you're having things, when you're saying there's no of something, or without something, or if there's many of something, or you're asking how much of something. You use it when you count. You use it on brunch on Sundays. So many different variations of usage for the genitive. Dative is for indirect objects. Prepositional is for things being done in relation. No, things, how would you say? Used with location? No, hold on, stop. Things, because they're so, I don't want to say it's like used with prepositions because that's all of them, right? And when we get into the weeds, you'll see why that you can't say that at all. I'm trying to think of like a good way to put this, right? And I would look here, but it's not listed. So prepositional is like used with a select few, I would say it describes something somewhere. That's innovative right there. But so what I'm saying is like you can't say, there's so many prepositions like, nad, pod, like, okay, that means on, or no, not on, over or under, but they take on the instrumental case. You could say, what about через or skvoz? those both mean through, but those take on the accusative. Or, what about pro or pri? Pri takes on, pri actually does take on the prepositional, but pro takes on accusative. Or, so many different examples. It's hard to explain, but so prepositional, it might be, I would say, how to put this in words, like on, in, but not inside, because that's genitive, not outside, because that's also genitive. It could be like, into some, not into something, because that's accusative suddenly, because it involves motion. And then so I would say when it's a preposition, a select few prepositions without motion, then you use the prepositional case, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, okay. And then next we have tvaritelny, which is the means of action. So, like, let's say you say, Я пишу эссе с карандашем. What does that mean? I am writing an essay with a pencil. So the pencil there is the means of action. You are using the pencil to write the essay. Makes sense? Yes. So I just wanted to include this as like a preliminary case before we dive into the other ones. So bit of a lag there. Hello? Okay, so it's just the subject, like I said. So here we have the pronouns for this case. So я, ты, он, она, оно, мы, вы, они. So I, you, singular, informal. Он, he, она, she, оно, it. Мы, me, вы, the plural or formal, они, they. Okay. Rod. This is for nouns, so существительные. And we have 3 genders in Ruski. So masculine, feminine, and neuter. So you see this korn root, muž here. This is used, so each one of these is used in a lot of words. Like muž, husband, mužina, man, mujik is like a guy. So, all these words, right? But muzhskoy is masculine. And then same thing with zhensky. So žena is wife, zhenshina is a woman. And then sredny is, so remember sreda, the Wednesday. I said it was like the middle of the week, right? So sredny is like the middle gender. So general rule is that masculine nouns end in a consonant, feminine nouns end in a or ya, and then neuter nouns end in o or ya. Again, depending on if the stress is on the end, then it will be yo, right? And then there are so many different exceptions, like, I won't get into it. Just know, like, that's normally the case, but there are so many different possible endings for nouns that, we could be here all day. Okay, so soft sign is a tricky one because you have to memorize which nouns are masculine and which are feminine. Like these, you could be like, oh, if it's not mushina, you could be like, oh, it's if it ends in then it's feminine, blah blah blah. But since these are for both, it's like you just have to memorize. But I would say most are feminine, thankfully. So I have 2 examples here. Mój medvěd is my bear, and then Moja seld is my herring. I don't know why that's the first thing I thought of when I made these slides, but it was. So, like I said, nominative case. So, and how everything changes We'll get to adjectives in a minute, but everything changes in from nominative, right? So, yeah. So, like, if you learn a new word, then you'll put that word into each case, depending on the context. But if you learn brata's brata, you'll be like, oh, why does, would it be brati in genitive singular? No. But, it's brata in genitive singular and accusative. So this would just be so confusing. So it's just better to know the noun from the nominative. And also that just helps you indicate the gender easier. If you don't know like the endings, you can just tell like, oh, brata. Well, I know that genitive singular ends in a, so the nominative must be brat. No, you could do that, right? You will have to do that for katori. We cover that and participles but participles are easier because you just follow anyway. So katori, you have to revert back to default settings, I will say, and kind of redo the grammar. So these rules are so important to know. That will make more sense when we get to it. But yeah. So I would just keep a note of that, and also here with the adjectives as well. So okay. So I will say plural endings end in ui or i. So the ui or ikrat, not ikrat, i. Yeah, I don't know why I made that more confusing than it needed to be. Okay, yeah. So if it ends in ikratka, then it's probably an adjective. I can't think of one. Oh, izgoy. That's the only noun I can think of that ends with ikratka. But right, yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna spend more brain power doing that. So, but that counts as. Wait, what does that count as? Like, now I'm confused. What is the gender of izgoy? Now hold on. Wait a minute. My cast out. It's masculine. Okay, so I was like, hold on. Is ikratka a consonant or vowel? I'm forgetting. My brain is deteriorating from too much Russian. Okay, so I don't know why I didn't assume that, because the masculine adjective endings end in ikratka, but whatever. I had a feeling it was a consonant, but then I was like, okay. Oi plus ikratka, i plus ikratka, or o plus ikratka are the masculine endings, and then depending on the word, really. It's just about, like, there are some spelling rules that you have to learn, but really you just kind of know, like, okay, this word ends with this, and then that word ends with that, like Bailey and Sini. So Bailey is white, ends in this one, and then Sini is dark blue, ends in that. And then like Goluboy is light blue, ends in that. It's just depending on the letter. And then the feminine endings are easier. Well, I don't know about easier, but less variation, at least in the nominative. Well, I would say feminine across the board is pretty easy to kind of get down, because it's either like aya, ye, oi. But then the ya here is only in a select few cases, like damashna. It's just like an archaic spelling rule. It's not, like, apart from those few instances, it's not really used. Oya is for neuter. So, like, but it can also be mayo, depending on the stress of the adjective, of course. And then yiya. So this actually would trip people up. So this is the neuter equivalent of that, like, archaic spelling rule I told you about with, like, damashna. So damashna zadanya is like a home task or homework, but it can also be used for comparatives. So an example would be like bystreya would be faster. So like, ya bystreya чем мой друг, right? I'm faster than my friend. Or so, and then plural endings, I, yeah, or yeah. And then again, just depending on the spelling here. Kind of like, well, actually, like these aren't one-to-one. Like I'm thinking of examples now, like senior is this, and the this lines up. But like Galu boy goes to Galu Bia, and like I'm trying to think of, I can't think of a plural ending with this, except like mai or tvai. Then I'm trying to think. Maybe like yeah, I can't think of it. Okay, well, I mean, I'm sure I'll think of it after recording, but anyway, yeah, I would ignore that unless you're dealing with these then. Oh, so let's go to these actually. So my, moi, mayo, maya, mai, tvoi, tvoyo, tvaya, tvai, vash, vashe, vashe, vashi, nash, nashe, nasha, nashe. So yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. And yeah, so muy goes to nash, nasha, nasha, nashe. So ya goes to moi, yeah. So yeah, you understand. But these, the highlighted words, don't change across, what are they called? Cases. They don't change. So his bike, no matter where you have it in the sentence, it's always his. It's always его. So that's kind of nice. It's just that these are similar to the accusative pronouns, but what are you gonna do? Can't have it all, right? Well, I mean, I guess it makes it easier to learn. Okay, here's a little flow chart here. Is this the? Oh no, I have a surprise at the end. Get ready for that. Okay, so glagol means verb, as we know. So each verb, almost every verb, let's say, has an imperfective and a perfective. Okay? Now, imperfective is ongoing, so, or a process, right? So, delet is to do or to make. Ya deleu. I am doing right now. I am making right now. Or ya DLL. I was making, and then something happened, right? Or, I was doing, and then I might still do that same thing in the future. It's not completed. Whereas perfective is completed and has like a set start and end time, right? So like ya still chai. I don't know. Ya still chai. So boiled the water, put the tea bag in, chai is done. It's ready. Or you could say, well, actually, I won't get into that. And then these are some fun little words that they provided here. So citat is to read. Piet is to sing. So ja czytaję knigę. I'm reading the book. So right now I'm doing, it's going well, reading, having a blast. Ja prочитал книгу is I've already finished the book. Set it down, won't pick it up again. I'm already done. Just set it aside. And then я пою is I am singing. And я спел is I sang. So я спел песню, I sang the song. Now, here's where it gets a bit tricky. What if you want to conjugate the perfective in the present? Well, it becomes future. It means that you will do it, guaranteed to completion, right? Я прочитаю книгу. I will read the book, or I will finish reading the book, or я спою. I will sing, not like I will be singing, which is where this comes in. So you conjugate будет. So будет is the perfective of бывать. So бывать gave away the surprise by accident. it makes me upset. Okay, so это бывает would be like, it happens, you know? So the way you put the imperfective verb in the future is you conjugate the word будет. So я буду читать. I will be reading. You know, you can see the conjugations here. And then, you know, it's the same for all of these. Now, usually you can add по to the beginning of a verb, and then it would, like a magic, it would become the perfective. Now, there are so many, uncountable exceptions to this, right? Like, literally right here, we have 3 examples, right? But it's kind of a general rule, right? And then you could also add like a different prefix, and we'll get into prefixes a bit later. They're really helpful in kind of changing the meaning of the word. So like brasat, to throw, vibrácivat, to throw out. So yeah, but we'll cover that later when we get to prefixes. Yeah, so it's the exact opposite for kupat. So я покупаю is I am buying right now, imperfective. Я куплю is I will buy. Okay, it's this, yeah, that's what tripped me up. It should be купить here, not купать. Okay, well, that's annoying. That I will have to fix here in a bit. But yeah, I was thinking of the standard at form of conjugating, because I was thinking покупать, remove по. Anyway, doesn't matter. But if you add по to a verb, it could be that the perfective you create from that would be different than the standard perfective pair. What do I mean by that? So говорить, to talk, right? Говорить and сказать. So сказать would be the perfective of говорить. Completely different words. But you might see this rule and be like, oh, I'll make it поговорить. That does exist, and you would be correct if you said that. However, it's more like to start talking. So you can only start talking once, right? So that's kind of the nuance with that. And that's kind of what I said earlier, and it might not even have been in this take, but well, I was talking about it some time ago, with or without you, and yeah, so that's what I meant by that. We'll probably cut that out. And совершенный вид. Yeah, so okay, we already went through all those points. Right, yeah, so like I said, most verbs have both, but there are several examples, like зависеть, that only has one. So зависит is only imperfective. There's no perfective of зависит because of the nature of what it means, right? So it means to depend on something. So like зависимость is an addiction, right? So you can't depend on something. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but it implies a process, right? So yeah, that's the idea. Okay. Зависеть actually is one of those prefix examples I brought up. So yeah, so висеть, hang, so then зависеть, depend, right? You can see kind of the same root there. Anyway, so I wanted to close this extremely long lesson, this marathon, with some, fun-ish phrases. So starting off, so yeah, весёлые слова / фразы. This much is a person, is like it's a historical term that meant someone who did not want to be part of Soviet life. So in my class here in Kazakhstan, we went through different films, Eastern classics, I guess you could call them, like Ali Baba и 40 разбойников. What else did we do? Yeah, different things, like 13. So this term has been used kind of for like people who chose not to participate in Soviet, the Soviet lifestyle. Like they, didn't go to like a Soviet school. They didn't do the pioneer program, let's say. Well, which is that even? I don't even know if that was allowed not to participate. But anyway, it was people who didn't like go to all the events and all that jazz. So, but another term would be abrek. Abrek would kind of be the equivalent of someone from the Caucasus. Okay, and next we have Ispanski stid, which literally translates to Spanish shame, but it's secondhand embarrassment, which I always thought was kind of funny. And then we have po sarfandamu radio, which is literally translates to through the sundress radio. So like women gossiping, I guess, is the origin of this phrase. Zagnan vugol is backed into a corner. Ya skrpya serce saglasilsa, or depending on the gender, it would be saglasilas. Or if it was muy, it would saglasilis. That would be to reluctantly do something. Next we have some Vesiolia slava I frasi. So some fun words and phrases. Bismach is someone who chose not to be a part of the Soviet lifestyle. So maybe they didn't go to all the events that the government put on, the many, many holidays that they had. The Caucasian equivalent, I believe, is abrek. Yeah, abrek. Next we have Ispanski stid. This literally translates to Spanish shame, but it means second-hand embarrassment. Next we have pasarfandamu radio, is word of mouth, through the grapevine, kind of a spletnya, spletnya, gossip, domicil, speculation, that kind of thing. So sarafan is a sundress, so it's kind of like, it comes from that kind of women gossiping, kind of association, right? Zagnan vugol, backed into a corner, and this is a short form passive past participle, which we will, believe me, get into. I don't want to, but we will have to. And then ya skrpya serce saglasilsa, or depending on the gender, saglasilas. And then it's just to reluctantly do something. So когда я проснулся, when I woke up, я скрипя сердце согласился ходить на урок сегодня. So I reluctantly went to class today. And then last, we have some words for cool. So круто, and that's an adverb. So круто, прикольно, also adverb. So крутой человек would be like the masculine singular form. Прикольный. So прикол is a joke. You could also say шутка, an aside there. Кручёвый is another way to say cool. So like, yeah, кручёвый friar, like I'm a cool dude. Friar is like just means guy. Very, very informal. Like, what are some other words for guy? Like friar, chuvak, it's more like dude, patsan, or mujik, like I said. Malchik is like the proper way to say boy, rебенок, like a child. Or, you could say она кручёвая девчонка. Like if you're really close friends with this girl, you can say that. Девчонка is kind of like a little rude, I would say, depending on if you know them well enough. Another thing that could be interpreted as rude if you just said like someone's отчество. Here's a little aside about Russian culture. So Russian middle names come from the father's first name. So that's why отец. So отчество is the traditionally a Russian person's middle name. So like my dad's name is John, but so for this purpose, let's call him Ivan. So I would be Mikhail, again, convert Michael to Mikhail. Mikhail Ivanovich Stewart is my last name. Familia. So имя, first name, отчество, middle name, familia, last name. So, yeah, but if you call someone Ivanovich, it's like a bit rude, unless you know that person. And then, some different ways to call girls, I guess. You could say девушка, девочка, if they're younger, because the chka is kind of like a diminutive. And девка is extremely rude, but so I wouldn't use that often, if at all. And so those are, apart from the swears, those are some different options for you. And then last, but definitely not least, we have another note about the name thing. So if it's a foreign name, well, actually, we'll cover this later when we get to genitive. But it'll make more sense when we do that. So last but not least, we have an amazing phrase. Когда рак на горе стиснет. So when the crayfish will sing on the mountain. It's the Russian equivalent for like the when pigs fly, right? So, yeah, that's it for this lesson today. Hopefully you are still awake and it didn't bore you half to death. Or maybe this is like a good ASMR video. Learn Russian while you sleep type thing. But спасибо за внимание, and I hope to see you in the next lesson. Пока-пока.